Here and beyond. And I feel that we are here and beyond at the Global Truth Center because we're always learning to, well, grow, right? We're always learning to grow and to lean. And I really wanted to take what we were talking about this year, leaning into the more in 2024. How are we leaning into the more? And for me, part of that was really coming around with what do I think about every month that we have a word to inspire. So this month, it was growth. And the title of my talk today is Why Amplify? So I wanted to tell you guys why I chose the word amplify today. Because we are in this theme of 2024, I wanted to, and we talk so much about not just our spirituality, not just about what our philosophy is, but we also incorporate a lot of quantum physics, right? We talk about the energy, the energy of pure potential, the energy of life, that is constant, that is growing, that is you, that is me, and that we have the ability, as Steve said, to shape the lines. Because we live in this confine, right? We're born into it. We're born into these bodies. We live in this confine, and we forget sometimes that we can actually define and move those lines for ourselves. And so for me, part of that was to really get, what does growth mean? Well, for me, it means to amplify what I have within me that I would like to show and know more of myself, knowing that what I put out there is mirrored right back to me. So amplify to me was that word that meant growth. So I know we were bantering back and forth, Caressa and I, and what I really wanted to do is invite you guys to think about what growth means to you. It may be that you want to use that word as the word of the month, growth. Perfect. But define it for yourself. What does it mean for this month to grow as you grow into 24? Does it actually mean to amplify? Great. Use that. Does it mean to grow your own strength? Great. Use that. Does it mean to expand your consciousness? Great. Use that. Take this month to understand what your own word for growth is, so that that becomes what you amplify. Last month was a month of inspiration. And I will tell you that I was inspired by an individual that recently passed in my life. He was my best friend. He was a brother. To call him a friend actually is an insult. He was family to me. And yesterday we had his memorial. And it made me start thinking about what life actually means. I've stood up here before and said that I've quoted Thomas Troward by saying, the purpose of life is to enjoy it. Thomas Troward said that. The purpose of life is to enjoy it. And I really embraced that. I really embraced it. And then with the passing of this beautiful soul that affected many lives, I had to stop and say, do you still believe that? And the answer is yes, I still do believe that. But the answer is also, and what else do you believe about life? What is out there for you to define for yourself? Because the passing of my dear Pedro was completely unexpected. He was a healthy individual in his 60s that probably passed in the best way that he could in his sleep. Best way for him, not so much for us, for not having some sort of explanation. And death is always something that we grapple with. Death is something that reshapes and redefines what we think about life, right? I mean, if we've been close to death, if someone we love has been close to death, if someone we love has passed, it redefines and reshapes everything that we know about life. Not just our own life, but the life of all of us in that expansion. And so what Pedro did for me is to allow me to really stop and question what life is about. And it brought me to this quote by Joseph Campbell. Life has no meaning. Each of us has meaning, and we bring it to life. It is a waste to be asking the question when you are the answer. Isn't that great? So as I continue to ask, what's the purpose of life? It's no coincidence that this quote came to me. It's no coincidence that Joseph Campbell said, stop asking the question that you are the answer to. I want to amplify who I am. I want to define who I am. In his song, Steve writes, "Here in a place with no boundaries or signs." And the truth is, we butt up against a lot of boundaries for ourselves and they're tacit. We don't even know that we are butting up against these boundaries until we face them. Do I actually believe what I thought I believed? Do I actually embrace what someone else has bequeathed to me and I didn't even realize that? So when you understand that those boundaries, those signs are really not yours, you get a chance to redefine who you are. You get a chance, as Joseph Campbell says, to understand that you are the answer to the question that you have been asking. Unless your question is, why me? Don't ever make that your question, ever. Think about what it is that you're asking. Your question should be, thank God it's me. Thank God it's me, thank me it's me. Because you're defining that for yourself. Steve also says, we must put ourselves in motion to live our life so full, step outside the orbit and push against the pull. We're constantly being pulled in many directions, and sometimes we don't know that we're actually being pulled in those directions until we stop and decide whether we want to go in that direction or not. And I will tell you that this passing has really made me question a lot. And for a while, I wanted to sit in my grief. Yes, I know this teaching. Yes, I am very clear that he is present with me right now and that he is in a place that is expansive, that is amplifying who he is. And I needed that moment to be in my grief, to be in the reality with a small r of what is life, to really fully grasp and appreciate what was going on before I sent out a text or an email to this community, to this Global Truth Center practitioner core and friends who I know that I could lean into. Why? Because each and every one of them had a consciousness that is the more. So when you realize that that more is not just about substance, it's about feeling and knowledge, you can really lean into others to hold you in a space when you know you can't hold yourself to it. I knew in that moment that I needed to reach out to other people, to hold my consciousness, to have the ability to remind me of who I am so I could remember who Pedro is as well. And when I did that, it shifted my consciousness. But again, I needed to sit in that moment. I needed it, and it's okay. It is completely fine. But as Dr. Karen Oxrider said, I will support you, I will be here, but then I'm going to pull you out. And I appreciate that. And it made me realize that sometimes when we speak up here, that sometimes we're using words and jargon and things that just sound like really beautiful things. I don't want to sound beautiful. I want to be beautiful. I want to stand up here and the words that I say actually mean something to me, because if they mean, and they have, I don't want to ever say that they haven't, but I really want to understand this teaching at such a depth that when I speak, others understand it and experience their own depth as well. Does that make sense? Yes. So when I say lean into the more, what is that more for you? Is it a new experience? Is it something new in your life? Or is it just being more? Being more. This quote that made me think, when I was speaking with Dr. Lori, she was sending me some slides about being more. And when I saw this one, it really resonated with me. And what I came up with was this: when we realize that the power we possess is the power back of all things, as Ernest Holmes says, that power that creates, the only power that is, we amplify our ability to attract and experience our deepest desires, the life we are meant to know. When I saw this, it reminded me how sometimes we are amplifying ourselves just in one megaphone and not realizing that the power of everything is back behind us. So that when we claim something, as this young lady is claiming, everything else in the world stands behind us to say yes, to say yes to whatever it is that we're claiming, to say yes to whatever it is that we're believing, to say yes to whatever it is that we know about ourselves, that we know and remember who we are. And standing in that type of amplification, in that type of knowing, there's nothing that we cannot do and cannot experience in life. Because I will tell you, I have found that life is extremely precious. I've always felt that life is precious. And in this moment, I feel it more. I feel it more than I have in the past. Knowing that the only time there is now. This is it. The power back of everything is behind me right now. And it's behind each and every one of you as well. That power of life, that power of love, that power, that desire that you want is all behind you, just waiting for you to say something, to amplify behind you and say yes to it. And I know that there's a lot of people here that have sent out that call and have experienced the more. And isn't there more to experience? Steve says in his song, and I love this line too, I didn't just get here to get here. Isn't that great? I didn't just get here to get here. Our teaching didn't just get here to not be experienced even deeper, even more, as Ernest Holmes says. I didn't just get here to just stand here. I got here to get here and claim even more. There's never a stop to what it is that we want. There's never an end of expanding, growing, being conscious, being alive, being aware. There's never an end to it. There's no plateau that we get to. There's still more to climb. And that's not a bad thing. That sounds, oh my God, that might be exhausting, but it's not. It's in that climb, right? Like, oh, I don't want to climb anymore. Can this be okay? Yes, this is okay. But the thing of being okay and being in satisfaction, which is great and wonderful, then there's that scratch, right? I'm sure every single one of you have gotten to that point where it's like, this is what I wanted. You know, as the NBA players say when they win a championship, or football players who have wanted to win the Super Bowl and get that Super Bowl ring, they're excited, and then what? Most of them will always say, okay, I just realized there's more. And that's what this is. That's what this teaching is all about, is to remind us that when after we get what it is that we thought was the more, there's probably more. And that is not a bad, exhausting thing. That is the beauty of life. That's basically just telling you that you are the creator. You are constantly creating. What do you want to create in your life? Take that, extract that from every Sunday that you come here. This is a springboard, a stepping board, a remembrance, but it's not the end-all, be-all. You don't turn around and then walk out the door just to come back, just to forget to come back, and then again remember. That sounds like a hamster wheel. We don't want to be in a hamster wheel. Yes, see? Someone else is claiming that as well. We don't want to be in a hamster wheel. We want to be in the constant motion of life, in the constant motion of life. Brandon Bouchard says, when we amplify the best within us, we achieve something miraculous. And it's not just one miracle that we're constantly achieving. We are always achieving miracles. Always. How big do you want your miracle to be? How big do you want this miraculous something to show up as you? And I love this picture when I was talking to Dr. Lori about it, she was like, oh my God, the woman's being blown away. I said, yeah, but you know what? The speaker is actually who we are. The speaker is who we are, not the person. We are that which throws and amplifies out our energy into life, into others, into living. So I'm not challenging you to do anything other than define what growth means to you, so that you understand that for this month, what you do is no short of this, amplifying out into the world, creating more of what is, because what you are creating is what you are. It is a mirror that comes right back to you. Isn't that basically what Ernest Holmes says? Yeah. And I'll leave you with this. This is my dear friend Pedro. Last summer, we went to Croatia, and all he ever wanted to do was live and travel, and he did that so well. And I will tell you that he is a life well lived. And I also know that there was more that he wanted and more that he wanted to accomplish. And so I believe that in who I am, I take that challenge for him. I also know that he is now in an experience of his life without this container and experiencing the more in a different way, in a more expansive way, traveling and loving everywhere. This picture that we took in Croatia, we'd gone to a small church. He used to always, every time we went somewhere, it didn't matter where we went, he'd always light a candle at a church. So it reminded me of this quote: a candle never loses any light. A candle never loses any of its light while lighting another candle. So just know that when you are amplifying, you have no idea how many people you affect. Last night, when we were at his memorial, the priest at the service was actually shocked at how many people showed up because it was expansive. And he reached so many lives, people coming in from literally all over the world to celebrate this person who was always just amplifying his own energy and his own life and his own light. And by the way, each and every one of us has the opportunity to do that. And Pedro, for me, is a reminder that I have to do that. I take that back. I don't want to say I have to do anything, but I am responsible to do that. And each and every one of us has our own meaning of what this teaching is. We all do. We carry it with us, right? So now you have a responsibility to amplify and shine your own light, knowing that you affect so many, even if you don't realize you do. I actually liked this quote also by Leo Tolstoy. Just as one candle lights another and can light thousands of other candles, so one heart illuminates another heart and can illuminate thousands more. That's what Pedro did in his life, and I know this to be true for each and every one of you. Know that you illuminate so many hearts and so many lives, and know that you are expansive and amplified energy all the time, and know exactly who you are at all times, because that is the truth. It is a constant truth, and we don't know for how long we get that truth in this form. So please, know the truth of who you are, amplify your energy, and it may always be filled with so much light and so much love. Namaste.